You've probably heard that old saying that if you want something done right, you should put all your focus into one thing. That idea pretty much sums up what AeroCabin is all about. Instead of spreading themselves thin with multiple models and endless variations, they've poured everything they have into a single camper. That one camper is called the AeroCabin One, and years after its debut, it's still the only model carrying the brand forward. AeroCabin first showed up on the RV scene back in 2023, and from day one, the One was their flagship and their only product. Unlike most camper manufacturers that constantly roll out new floor plans and updates, AeroCabin decided to refine, polish, and stand by this one design. We've talked about the AeroCabin One before, but since then, things have gone pretty quiet. There hasn't been much news about the camper itself, and even Smitfeld, the parent company behind AeroCabin, has kept a low profile when it comes to this model. The AeroCabin One's social media presence has been silent since 2024, which naturally raises a few questions. What exactly is this camper all about? How does it actually work for real-world camping? And maybe most importantly, is it still worth considering today? Let's start with what makes the AeroCabin One stand out in the first place. At a glance, it already looks different from many campers in its class. But the real magic lies in how it transforms once you stop and set up camp. The entire concept revolves around expanding your living space far beyond what you'd expect from something this compact on the road. Two key systems make that happen, and together, they change the whole feel of the camper once it's parked. The first thing you notice is the pop-top roof. This isn't just a minor lift for ventilation or light. When raised, it increases the interior headroom by up to 74 centimeters, or about 29 inches. That's a huge difference when you're inside, especially if you've ever tried to move around in a low-profile camper. It instantly makes the space feel more open, more comfortable, and far less cramped. Then there's the second feature, which is much rarer, especially in this location. The front of the AeroCabin One includes a slide-out section. Slide-outs aren't new in the RV world, but seeing one at the very front of a camper like this is pretty unusual. Most campers with slide-outs have them on the sides, and in some Australian designs, you might see a rear slide-out. Here, the front section extends forward by about 80 centimeters, or 31.5 inches. That stretch increases the total length from 4 meters in road mode to around 4.8 meters once expanded, and that extra space makes a noticeable difference inside. This front slide-out is also where the bed is located, which is interesting because AeroCabin hasn't really shown detailed images or videos of how this section looks during travel or during the expansion process. Based on the layout and the available visuals, it's likely a folding bed system or possibly a fixed bed that rests on the dinette seating while you're driving. Either way, the idea is clearly to maximize space without making the camper oversized on the road. Inside, the layout is surprisingly well thought out. There's a clear separation between the different living areas, which helps the space feel organized instead of cluttered. The overall styling has a very strong European vibe, with clean lines and modern finishes, which makes sense since AeroCabin is a Dutch brand. Everything feels intentional, from the furniture placement to the color choices, and it creates an interior that looks both functional and inviting. The bed itself is designed for 2 people, but during the day, the seating and table setup make the space suitable for 4 people to sit and socialize comfortably. While it might look like it could be modular enough to accommodate more sleeping space for kids, the images suggest that the table is movable, but not part of a fully modular sleeping system. So realistically, this is a camper best suited for couples or small families who don't mind a tighter sleeping arrangement. One thing that really stands out, and not necessarily in a good way, is the lack of a bathroom. From everything shown and listed in the specs, there's no indoor shower, no toilet, and no wet bath of any kind. There's also no clear mention of an outdoor shower, which leaves a big question mark. For a camper of this size and price, that's a pretty bold omission. It really makes you stop and think about who this camper is actually for. Would you personally spend this kind of money on a camper that doesn't include a bathroom at all? That's something worth dropping your thoughts about in the comments. Speaking of price, the AeroCabin One starts at around €39,000, which translates to roughly $44,800 at current exchange rates. At that level, many buyers expect at least some kind of bathroom solution, especially if they're planning to travel off-G